I want to start by thanking you for all of the support that we have had from all of our parents and carers since we had to close again in January. I can't believe it's almost a year since the first time we had to close the school doors, and I sincerely hope that once we have all of our young people back fully after the spring break, that we won't ever have to go through this again. However, we have a wee bit to go before we get there, so I thought I would update you on our plans for the reopening after the 15th of March. As you know, we were expecting S4 to S6 youngsters to return to us, and we had begun to plan for that. However, last Tuesday, the First Minister announced that all S1 to 6 pupils would return for some in-school learning and continued remote learning. Our focus has to be on the S4 to S6 learners who are completing the national qualifications. And as with Phase 1, the learning and teaching of the critical practical work in relation to qualifications that can only be carried out in school should continue. That has given us a very complex picture to plan for in such a short space of time. We need to remember that this plan is for 14 days and for 14 days only. Should it be that we don't reopen it, and I sincerely hope that we are fully reopened after the spring break, then we will revisit these plans to ensure that they are meeting the needs of our learners. But I really do hope it doesn't come to that. There are a number of things that we've had to consider whilst we've been developing our plans. One of them being that all young people have to receive some in-school learning each week. We also have to maintain the provision for key workers, children and vulnerable learners. We have to continue to ensure the daily registration, check-in arrangements for every learner. And the big one for us, which is we have to maintain 2 metre physical distance between learners, between adults and learners within the school building. That has hugely restricted what we will be able to do, as our classrooms can only accommodate 8 to 10 learners at any one time. We have to develop a rationale as to why we have young people in the building and what is going to be the benefit to them. We know we have a robust online learning offer. The quality and the uptake has been carefully monitored through daily attendance, young people and parent carers, questionnaires, and also regular telephone calls to all households. And the feedback we have received has been acted on to improve the quality of the experience for young people. As I mentioned earlier, the 2 metre social distance means that at most we can have in is a third of our S3 to S6 pupils at any one time. Our residents will remain closed until after Easter, and we need to ensure we're providing equal access to learning, teaching and support for these young people too. So we need to find a balance of in-school time and the continued delivery of the curriculum online. What does that mean? We began to look at if we brought in youngsters, so in 5th and 6th year, our youngsters come in 2 periods blocks. So if we divided the school into 3 groups, Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, then what that would effectively mean if we brought each group in each week is that each lesson would have to be taught 3 times. And that would result in a loss of 4 teaching periods a week for our S5, S6 pupils, or 12 periods until the end of term. Our focus, therefore, will be on learner conversations and the continuation of online learning. So each young person in S3 to S6 will have a one-to-one learner conversation with their teacher and an opportunity of support with any issues they're having. Dance school and MTC pupils will have the same support via an individual team call with their class teacher. And online learning will continue at all other times. For S4 to S6 young people, the groups that we have already established for practical work in subjects such as admin, art, computing, design and manufacture, drama, metalwork, music and photography will continue as is, and their teachers will continue to tell them when they come into school. So how will this work? Okay, so young people will be divided into 3 groups. Group 1 will be Arnhem Butte, Group 2 Harris and Eiley, and Group 3 Tyree. So they will then come in at the times noted below. Please note, I have a letter that will come out along with this, with a page in it for each year group for exactly what that means for further detail. So if I'm a pupil in Arran House, then the week beginning the 15th of March, I will come in periods 1 to 4. So that could be my maths and English. The next week I'll come in Tuesday periods 1 to 4 for my next 2 columns, and that will be modern studies and French, for example. And then the final week I'll come in periods 5 and 6, and that will be biology. So the remainder of the time they will continue with learning at home. So that means for each subject, each young person will have an individual conversation with their teacher in school and 4 periods of online learning. So for each subject, they will only come into school once. S4 will be a similar pattern. We will keep going with the practical subjects as we have been going, and then they will come in. So if I'm in Arran House, week beginning the 15th, I'll come in Monday, periods 3 to 5, Wednesday, periods 4 to 6 the following week, and the week after that, Thursday, periods 5 and 6. And again, the rest of the time I'll be online learning. S3 again will be a similar pattern. So in school, periods 6 and 7 in the Monday, if I'm a pupil in Arran House. If I'm a pupil the following week, I'll be in Wednesday, periods 4 to 6. And then the following week, I'll be in Thursday, periods 5 and 6. For our S1, S2, the focus is on recovery, reconnection and resilience. Young people will be in school 3 periods per week, and the focus will be on PSE, outdoor education and health and wellbeing. As I mentioned earlier, all young people in the building must maintain a 2 metre social distance at all times. This, as you can imagine, will be exceptionally tricky at social times, and the only option we will have is for young people to be outside where they don't need to socially distance. So if they're in over an interval in a lunchtime, and we've tried to avoid this as much as possible given that we are in March and the weather is quite inclement, then they will need to be outside. I do hope that all young people will be back in school full time after the spring break. As I mentioned earlier, if it's the case that they're not, then we will go back and we will review these plans. These plans are for 14 days and for 14 days only. As I mentioned, there is a letter that has come out or will come out via group call. There will be a copy on the website and a copy on the app. And for each year group, there's a page that explains exactly what that means for each year group. As well as that, pastoral care staff have been speaking to young people at their PSE time. I do know that this is yet another change, and I do know that young people might be a bit anxious about coming back to school, but I can absolutely assure you that we are desperate to get them back in the building and to provide that support and encouragement for them to reach their potential. Thank you.